were at the heart of the financial crisis.
More than 4 years later,
no one going to jail, no individuals being held accountable.
This is totally about what went on Wall Street.
Frontline investigates why no Wall Street executives have gone to jail.
The FBI wasn't aiming high enough.
There was a definite sense that justice backed off.
Did the government fail?
A number of people told us, you didn't make this a top priority.
Well, I'm sorry if they think that, because I made it an incredibly top priority.
So you're telling me that not one executive on Wall Street committed provable fraud? I mean, I just don't believe that.
Tonight on Frontline, the Untouchables.
Although this downturn started in the housing sector and in the financial sector, you're seeing a lot of things being hit.
Today's numbers suggest job losses are
almost 600,000.
The biggest loss since 1974.
In 2009, Wall Street bankers were on the defensive. The great American mortgage bubble had burst.
A huge amount of money.
The economy was in ruins, and Wall Street bankers were being blamed. Bankers admitted they had miscalculated, but they were also worried that they could be held criminally liable for fraud. With a new administration arriving in Washington, bankers and their attorneys expected investigations and at least some prosecutions.
$50 billion in mortgage-backed security.
Was there a sense that there were going to be prosecutions of alleged fraud related to the mortgage crisis?
I think there was that expectation. I think people had seen the financial crisis. There was obviously a lot of conduct that had gone on that was improper. And I think people were expecting to see some substantial prosecutions.
The men and women who duped would-be homeowners, who defrauded the American investor, need to be identified, prosecuted, convicted, and thrown in jail.
In Washington, there was broad support for prosecuting Wall Street.
I was really upset about what went on Wall Street that brought about the financial crisis. Not only almost destroyed the financial system of the United States, almost destroyed the financial system of the world. That doesn't happen if there isn't something bad going on.
But today, more than 4 years since the financial crisis of 2008, there have been no arrests of any senior Wall Street executives. Chief of the Criminal Division of Justice, Lanny Brewer, says the problem is that greed is not necessarily criminal.
I am personally offended by much of what I've seen. I think there was a level of greed, a level of excessive risk-taking in this situation that I find abominable and I find very upsetting. But that is not what makes a criminal case. What makes a criminal case is that I can prove beyond a reasonable doubt every element of a crime.
Some former prosecutors believe the problem is a lack of effort.
Justice Department failed. They have not done what needed to be done. They didn't ever try to bring together in one coherent narrative, laying out the entirety of the story against one of the major players and demand sanctions that are meaningful. That, to me, is what has been fundamentally lacking.
The story of how the big banks amassed enormous fortunes packaging home loans into securities and selling them to investors all over the world began, of course, on the ground with mortgage originators.
What my Econ 1 prof taught us was business goes in cycles.
My name is Michael Winston. I worked for Countrywide Financial Corporation from 2005 till 2008. They said their goal was world class, Goldman Sachs on the Pacific, and they wanted me to realize their vision.
You know, if you can reach up with both fists.
Michael Winston once lived inside the bubble at mortgage originator Countrywide. At first, Winston was impressed by CEO Angelo Mazzillo and how he had turned Countrywide into America's #1 mortgage company.
How you doing?
But just a few months into the job, Winston had an encounter in the company parking lot.
I'd been there 5 months when I happened to park next to a car with personalized vanity plates, and the personalized plates said, "Fund them." And I had a conversation with the person nearest the car. I didn't know if it was the owner or just some guy walking by. And I just said, Fundum, that's an interesting quote. What do you suppose that means? And he said, that's Angela Mazzillo's growth strategy for 2006. And he said, we have a loan for every customer.
A growing family with a lot of debt.
And I said, a loan for every customer? How can that be?
A business owner whose income was hard to document.
What if the person doesn't have a job? Fundum, the guy said.